Hello, my club ladies. It's Christine from Christine's Stamping Spot. So this is the video I've prepared for the Explosion Box Gatefold card that we're doing for our January Craft Club Craft Along night. So I thought I might just do a video in case you guys wanted to kind of take a look at it if my tutorial instructions maybe weren't quite clear enough. So we're going to do a large one and a small one. And this is what they look like. So the large one, you open it up and you can have your message or you can stamp in here, okay? And then this is just a smaller version. So this one does not fit in, of course, in a regular envelope. You'd have to either use your envelope punch board or just find a larger envelope for this one. And it's a little bit thicker too. This one is just a smaller version, which I believe will fit into a regular envelope. So this one you probably could pop in the mail. Okay, so we're going to go through and do both of them. And you will have all the measurements, but I'm just going to kind of go through them again as we go, just in case. And so you can kind of maybe piece the video and the tutorial together. So I'm using a different designer paper for this one. The one I used, in case you're interested, I'm using Florals in Bloom. So it's this one. It's an older one. I don't even know if this is still current, to be honest. Okay, so we need to bring out our paper trimmer. We're going to do the larger card first, okay? So you are going to take your choice of designer paper and a matching piece of cardstock, okay? So we all have a gazillion pieces of designer paper kicking around, so pick whatever you'd like and just pull out one of the colors from your designer paper to use as your base, okay? So the base of this paper I've pre-cut and it is 11 by 5.5. Okay, same for our designer paper. It's 11 by 5.5. So we're going to do some scoring first. So we'll start with our designer paper and we are going to score this at 2 3/4 on each of the long, with the long end at the top. Okay, so I hope you can see this on the camera. So 2 3/4, then I'm going to flip it and do 2 3/4 here on this end. All right. So make sure your cutting blade is out of the way. And then we're going to do the same for the designer paper. So with the 11-inch side at the top, you're going to score at 2 3/4 and just make sure you're not pressing too hard because this can rip. Right? And tell me how I know that. Okay, so 2 3/4 on each end. Okay, so this is for the large one. The measurements and the technique for the small one is exactly the same. It's just the measurements are a little bit different. Okay, so we are going to put our paper trimmer and our DSP aside for just a sec and bring in our base. So you're going to fold those score lines up on each end and give them a really good burnish with your bone folder. And this is going to form the base of the card, your gatefold. Okay, so this is what they call a gatefold. So hopefully they meet fairly evenly in the center, okay? And then I think we are going to add our panels before we deal with the inside part. So with the same designer paper, you're going to cut your 2 panels, and these are cut at 5 oops, sorry, these are for the little card. Let me get my right pieces, that would help. Sorry, here we go. 5 1/4 by 2.5. Okay, so you're going to put these on the outside panels. Now, of course, our designer paper is double-sided, so if you prefer the other side on the front, I mean, you guys can do, exactly whatever you would like. Okay, if it's directional, just make sure that your flowers or whatever pattern is going in the right direction. They aren't upside down. Okay, and we'll put this on this corner, or sorry, this flap here. All right, so just center those, and then this will be our front. Okay, so now we're going to set this aside for a second. Okay, so we'll put this aside and bring back our designer paper and our paper trimmer just for a second. Okay, so we have those score lines on the end. Okay, we're not going to fold those just yet. So here we have the 11-inch side. So we want to make a little mark at the center point. So for 11 inches, that would be 5.5. So you're going to put the left edge of your paper at 5.5. Okay, close your flap, or if you don't want to, you don't have to. And where the track is on your paper trimmer and where this is, I just want you to make a little pencil mark on the top and on the bottom. Okay, so you can see there's one at the top there and one at the bottom. Okay, so now we can put our paper trimmer away. Okay, so now you have to decide, well, maybe before those pencil marks, is which side you want to show when you open your card. Okay, so I want this floral image to show. So with this as a guide, this little pencil mark, you're going to take the top right corner and you're going to fold it down to this bottom pencil mark. Okay, so like so, and it should line up with the top, and you want to make sure that your bottom edges are also lined up. Okay, and then take your bone folder and give this a crease, and then flip it over and do the same. Okay, so if you missed that, let me do it again. So you have your pencil mark here at the top and you have one at the bottom. So this is the center of our designer paper. So you're going to take the top right corner, fold it over on this top score line to meet, or sorry, the top mark, pencil mark to meet with the bottom pencil mark. Okay, and the bottom edge here should line up as well. Okay, great. Now you're going to do the same thing, but with the bottom right. So you're going to take the bottom corner, fold it up to this pencil mark and line it up there, and make sure these ends are also lined up. And then give it a little burnish with your bone folder. Okay, so now we have basically these two score lines. So now we're going to do the same on this end. So you're going to find that pencil mark, top and bottom, take the top corner, fold it down to that bottom pencil mark, make sure the bottom edges are lined up, and give it a little crease. Okay, I'll flip it over and the same. Okay, then you're going to open it up, take the bottom corner, again, you're going to mark it in line with that pencil mark. Okay, make sure the ends are lined up and give it a crease. Okay, so now if you want, you can go back and just erase those little pencil marks because you're not going to need them, although if they're just light, no one's going to see them. Okay, so now we've done that corner. So those two score lines we did at the ends, remember at the beginning, we are going to fold those back. So let me just see where I did them, because I didn't do them very deep. Oh, did I do them on this? I did, right? Let me bring up my paper trimmer. Oh my God, I'm going blind. Okay, so this was at 2 3/4 as well. Maybe I didn't do it on this one. Huh. Okay, well, you're going to do it on this as well. So 2 3/4 on each of the long ends, which I thought I did. That is weird. Okay, so let's do light score there. Flip it, and 2 3/4 on this end. Okay. There you go. Okay, I hope I did that now and then I can see them. Maybe I just forgot. Okay, so on those score lines there, you are going to fold that in each direction just to make sure it's nice and pliable. Okay, and then do the same on the other end. Fold on that score line and on there. Okay, so now you have this with all of these score lines. So what you're going to do, I like to hold it this way. So you're going to have like a big diamond in the center. So this, if you just sort of maneuver it a bit on those score lines, it should, you can give it a little nudge here. It should all come together and fold in on itself. Okay, so then you take your bone folder and just maneuver those ends. Okay, so again, it looks like this. And this score line, if you kind of just maneuver those in, it folds down on itself. Okay, and this is where if you need to adjust your folds, you can do that. Okay, and then you can open that up, and then you're going to do the same on the other side. So fold those on top of each other. Okay, it's just going to kind of naturally, it's kind of like those, what do they call those? Those cootie holder, cootie whatever things when we were kids. Remember doing those? That's kind of what this reminds me of. Okay, so now we have all of those folded. So this is what makes our little explosion box. It'll go kapoof, and you'll see our greeting here in the center. So before we attach this to the base, we're going to add our greeting and thing in here. So I went ahead and did that. So you have 2 pieces of cardstock. So again, this one matches our base. And this is cut at 3 5/8 and 3 5/8. And then a piece of the white is cut at 3 1/2 and 3 1/2. Now you can stamp a greeting on there if you want, or you can leave it blank and just write your greeting on there, okay? So you're gonna stick these together. Okay, so I'll put this together. Now it's just gonna leave a really little edge. I have to lift this up because I can't see it against the black very well because it's so dark. Okay, so there we go. And then we're going to put this on the inside and on that designer paper. Now it's going to sit. Okay, and this is where I messed up. I should have stamped it this way. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me redo that. See, we all make mistakes, and I probably did that for the small one too. I did too. I wasn't even thinking. Okay, give me a sec, and I'm just going to recut this and re-stamp it. I'll keep this piece. So it shows you're not always prepared. Okay, so the white has to be 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. Okay, 1/2 by 3 1/2, and the small one I'm going to cut at the same time is, let me see, what was my measurement for that? It was 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. Okay, so we'll cut this down. Let's do it this way first. 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. Okay, I'm kind of glad that happened because now you may hopefully not make that same mistake. Okay, just let me get out my stamp pad. And this is the set I use, Poise Peony. It's an old retired one. Okay. So I may as well stamp both of these because I use the same image for both. Okay. Good point. So, happy birthday wishes. Okay. So, lesson learned, you are going to stamp your greeting with your cardstock in the diamond shape. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is for our little one because it's smaller. And this will be for our large one. Now, if you have a bigger greeting, like by all means, use whatever you have. Okay, so let's get back to business here. So now that I fixed that, oh my gosh, I'm kind of glad I did this now. Okay, so we're still going to put it on this way. With that little border showing. Okay, and then now we should be ready to put it on the inside of our DSP. Oh, I didn't put that on straight. I'm having all kinds of issues, guys. I've been having so much on my brain lately. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get this lined up properly. Hopefully I didn't cut my paper wrong. Maybe I did a little bit. It's going to do, okay, so we have these score lines, right, that outline our diamond. So you're just going to, if you need to, just push these up a little to see where that is. You could even make this border piece a little bit bigger, but okay, so you're going to put that in the center. Okay, so now when this is closed and they open, they're going to say best birthday wishes. Okay, you could stamp extra on there if you wanted. Okay, so now let us bring our base back. Now, these are exactly the same size. Okay, so what I like to do is just lay these on top of each other. Okay. And then I'm going to fold these together just to give me an idea of, you know, how they sit, that nothing is going to stick out when I fold this. Once this is attached, I don't really want that DSP to show too much. So that's why I just kind of want to line this up so I get an idea that it is going to match. Okay. So then I'm going to fold this together, the DSP, and for me, I'm going to make a little pencil mark right at this top point and this bottom point, okay? Because that is where I'm going to place this once I have my adhesive on the back. So you're going to flip this over your diamond, and you're going to put your adhesive on the back. If you want to use tear and tape or something strong, you can. Flip it over, make sure your greeting is going the right direction, and then you're going to place it right in between those little pencil marks, those points. Because I found when I first did this, I didn't always get it sitting properly, and so when I opened it, like my DSP was just off, and I didn't like the look of that. Okay, so that's coming together pretty good. Okay, so now you're going to put some adhesive on this right flap. Okay, and you're going to fold the top gatefold on top to stick it down. Okay, ta-da! And then you're going to do the same with this other panel. So you can flip it around if it's easier. And put some adhesive on there, fold over your gatefold, and adhere that down. So now, when you open it, ta-da! There's your gatefold. So it was still a teeny bit off here. But if it is, you can always trim that off the edges. Okay? So not bad. All right, so now we're going to attach our belly band. So the belly band for this large one is 12 inches by 1 inch. Now our cardstock is only 8.5 by 11. So you pretty much have to use a piece of designer paper as a belly band for the large one. Okay, so I just used the same, but I just flipped it on the other side because I wanted a bit of a contrast. So you're going to start wrapping it from the back. I'm just going to, before I do that, I'm going to put a little bit of tear and tape on one end because I want this to stay together. Okay, if you don't want to use tear and tape, you could use just your regular adhesive or your liquid glue. That's probably fine too. I doubt it'll come off, but I just want to make sure. Okay, so now we can wrap that around the center. Okay, make sure your card is flat, or as flat as you can get it. You're going to fold this over to about the center, okay? Even a little bit more. And then your tear and tape will be on the bottom. And this one, you're going to fold it, but not super, super tight because you want to be able to get the belly band off. And you're just going to line up these ends here. Okay, I'll give it a little press. So it should look like that, and you should be able to slide it pretty good. Okay, so now for our front greeting, I use the Stylish Shapes dies, and I just stamped another greeting. This one was from the Everyday Details, which is also retired. Okay, so I'm just going to stick these on top of each other. And then we are going to put it on the front. Okay, so now you want to make sure, I'm going to pop this with dimensionals, but you want to make sure that you don't have dimensionals on the top or the bottom part of the circle. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get this belly band off. So kind of gauge how wide this is, and you're just going to put, I put about 3 dimensionals sort of in the center. Okay, so like that. And then I will put this on top, like so. All right. And then I'm just going to add a couple of gems. So whatever gems you guys have. All right. I just had these rhinestones handy. So you're just to give it a little bit of bling. If you have other embellishments you'd like to use, sometimes there's those little floral ones. I think I'll just put 3 on this one. Okay, so that is your large card. So when you take off your belly band, this is what it looks like. Ta-da! Okay, so that's the large one. And then we'll quickly still do the little one. So now you get the idea, but the measurements are just a little bit different. Okay, so I'm gonna bring out my paper trimmer again. And so the measurements for the little one are your base piece. So I'm going to use the same DSP and cardstock. So your base piece is 8 by 4. And you're going to score that at 2 inches. Sorry, 2 inches on each end with the 8-inch side at the top. Okay, so 2 inches and 2 inches. Okay. And then your designer paper is exactly the same. So 8 by 4, we're going to score at 2 inches on each side. So I'm going to do that now. Looks like I forgot to do this part with the large one at this point. I'll flip it and do 2 inches here. Okay. All right, so then while we have our paper trimmer, because this is 8 inches across, we want the halfway point, which is 4 inches. So you're going to put your designer paper in at the 4-inch mark right there, close it, and just do a little pencil mark, top and bottom at 4 inches. Okay. All right, so let's bring that cardstock back and add those panels. So again, you're going to just fold up on that score line, both of them, to make your gatefold. Okay, so hopefully got those lined up, not too bad. All right, and then we have 2 pieces of that designer paper for our panels. And these ones are 2 pieces at 3 3/4 by 1 3/4. Okay, so we're going to put these again. Make sure you check for the direction, that they're not going in the wrong way. And we'll put one here. Okay, just centered as best you can. And then the other one we shall put on this flap, the outside flaps. Okay, so then they will look like this on the outside. Okay, so we can set that aside. Bring back our designer paper. Again, you want the pattern you want to show when you open the card. You want that face up. And here you have your pencil marks, okay? So top right-hand corner, fold it on that pencil mark, down to the bottom pencil mark, and make sure those lines are lined up. Okay. Open it up. You're going to do the same with the bottom corner, bottom right corner, up to that score mark, and make sure, or not your score, I keep calling it score, up to your pencil mark, and you want to line up those ends. Okay, that edge, and give it a fold. Open it up. Okay, and then the same on the left side. Bring it down to that pencil mark. Line up the bottom and give it a fold. Now the way you do this could differ, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. So sometimes flipping it is easier. Okay, and again, the other last corner down to that pencil mark, line it up, and give it a crease. Okay, so there we have those ones. And then the one that I know I did at the beginning this time, which I can't even see. Maybe I did do it before and I just didn't see it. I'm just nervous about pressing too hard with my scoring blade on DSP because, like I said, I have had it rip on me before and that wasn't so nice. Okay, let me see. I know I see it here. I'm going to fold on that score line. Okay, and in both directions. Okay, so now we have all of our score lines and crease marks. So again, these should just sort of fold in and fold down. So you can give it a little prod. Those little center ones. Line this up and just give it a little crease there to keep it in place. Okay, and then the same with this one. You're going to prod these side ones up, pat this down, line up that half a diamond shape. Okay, I'll do it on this side. And there we have our fold. Okay, it goes this way, my designer paper. Okay, so when it's folded, it's like a diamond, right? Okay, so then we are going to put our greeting in here again, which I redid. I did redo it, folks. You saw me. And I did it as a diamond. Yay. Okay, does this fit? I don't know. I had trouble with that last one. I guess I cut this better. Okay, so let us this on top of our Blackberry Bliss. Just a little bit of an edge. You could make this bottom layer a little bit bigger if you wanted. And then we're going to put this in the center of our DSP as a diamond. So again, you have, if you fold this up, you'll see all those crease marks, and you're just going to fit your greeting right in between those crease marks, okay? So it doesn't interfere, like so. So when it's closed, when you open it, it'll be like this. Okay, so now let's bring our base back. We're going to fold our diamond together and lay it down and make those little pencil marks. So again, I want to make sure this is lined up sort of even. Now it could still shift a little, so don't worry, it's fine. Okay, so that's pretty good. So I'm just going to close this and close this. And I just want to fold this to see. So that's pretty good. And then we'll make our little pencil mark at that point, the top and the bottom. Flip this around and put on our adhesive. Okay, make sure your greeting is going the right way. Okay, and then you're going to just place those points in those pencil marks. Okay, making sure that it's not hanging over too much and that it's between those score lines. All right, so when you close it, it should cover it up. And again, we'll put our adhesive on here. Fold our gatefold over, okay? And then we'll do the other side. Just do, there we go. Fold that over, and it's closed, and then ta-da! There you go. I think that's so cool. Okay, so for this one, our belly band is smaller, so you can just use a piece of cardstock. So I use the same Blackberry Bliss because I like how they go together. And this belly band is only 9 inches by 1, so you have enough room, okay? So again, I'm going to put a teeny bit of tear and tape on one end. We'll just put that there and peel that off. And then we'll start wrapping this around. Okay. So, I guess I wanted this way. Okay. So, around the center, and you kind of want it to meet in the middle, right? And so I'll put the adhesive side on the bottom. And the other side I will match on top, like so. All right, so that should still, it's a little tighter, but it still slides, okay? And then our greeting, I did the same one. Put that on our circle. And then sort of give it a little look where those dimensionals go. So I just start in the center, and then I just put one on each side of center. Okay, or even, I don't know, maybe even one is enough. Okay, so make sure that's straight. And then we're going to add our little rhinestones here. Okay. Oh, these are so tiny. The littlest ones. All right. There we go. So when you open this up, you open it, and you'll have your birthday greeting inside. So that's cute. I like this smaller version. It's quite nice. I just wanted to show you the alternative, an alternative that you could do. Oh my gosh, I can't get this back on. Okay. Ta-da! Maybe I made it a teeny bit too tight because you do want to be able to get it back on. There we go. Okay, there we go. So we have these two. Now the alternative that I saw, okay, so imagine there's the belly band on here. You open it up and you have DSP inside, okay? So the only difference with this is instead of a base and a DSP the same size, you have one base and another base. So basically 2 base pieces of cardstock the same, so 11 by 5.5. Okay, you could do this on the little one too. And then you would do all of your creasing and scoring and everything, put in your greeting. And to make these, what you would do is you would, this white measured, what was that measurement? It was 3.5 by 3.5. And what you would do then is, I just want to just double check this. Yeah, 3.5 by 3.5 is the size of this white. So you would cut 1, 2, 3 squares out of DSP at 3.5 by 3.5, okay? And then the 1 square, you would just cut in half, and that would fit on these 2 ends. The others 2, you would cut into quarters, and those would fit in these panels. Okay, so you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 makes up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 makes up 2. Okay, so that just gives it a little different look. I find it is a little bit thicker because you have that extra piece of cardstock there. But I think it's kind of neat. I like how that DSP kind of just pops like that too. So that's just an alternative that you can do. Okay, ladies, that's it for this month's project. I hope you give it a try. It's really, once you get going and you get your, your things folded, it's just a matter of putting it all together. So it's really, I think, pretty fun project. Okay, guys, have fun with that. Talk to you later. Bye.